Hello.
Hey,
Welcome
Ting.
to Not Just a Thing, brought to you by Mickey and Ting. And today's theme is loneliness. Mickey, I
Okay.
wonder, in today's special time, so many of us are seeing so few people compared to before. The number of people we see drastically decreased. Do you think we feel much more lonely than before the pandemic?
I don't know. I do wonder about this. I think there's a part of me that thinks people are connecting with more people than they've ever connected with before because everyone's kind of a Zoom call away or a phone call away. But I do wonder, how are people coping with loneliness? What are you seeing out there?
So I would like you to make a guess because we do have
Hmm.
some statistics about it.
Ah,
A, just as lonely. B, slightly more lonely. C, somewhat more lonely. And D, much lonelier. So for those who are joining
hmm.
us, please put in your guess in the comments while we also invite our contestants of today to also make the guess. So we're welcoming 3 more guests today. And please put in the comments. We're putting for you, Rob, Max, and Afshan. What's your guess?
I'm going to say D.
Me too.
Okay. Much lonelier. Yeah. Let's see if we have any audience. Okay. So it turns out that the epidemic is always there. So 2/3 of the Americans self-report that they always and often feel lonely. And in fact, the data shows that we're not much lonelier. If anything, there's feeling of more support. And there's even a slight increase of feeling less lonely overall in terms of data. I think that's very counterintuitive, partly because it makes sense. Like being with people means you are less lonely, right? Why? What's going on here? What does it mean that to really feel lonely? Like, what drives the feeling of loneliness? In fact, I have one example. When I'm in a party.
Actually, before you go on, I guess so. What you're saying is, even before the pandemic, 2/3 of Americans were reporting that they felt pretty lonely, and that the pandemic didn't actually change that, and it maybe even moved it towards feeling a little less lonely. I wonder if that's because people are putting more of an effort into reaching out to others, or, I don't know. I'm curious about that, but
Right.
I think, is that what you're saying though? Yeah.
Yeah. So I have an experience of when I'm in a party and I feel not connected. If I don't feel connected to any of the persons present, I feel the most lonely compared to when I'm being alone. And so it invites us to ask ourselves, what drives loneliness? What drives that feeling of loneliness? What does it really mean when you feel lonely? Does it mean that you feel not connected to one person, to many people, right? And so in this show, we will have 3 parts. The first part is going through a game to redesign 2 things to solve that crisis. And we're not going to go into too much of the science of quality of connection. But then we will have a discussion with our guests about what loneliness means and what the science says about it. And then we'll go through another 3 minutes of redesign, of brainstorming on redesigning the 2 things.
So the challenge will be about loneliness, and it'll be about how our things might actually help us combat loneliness, maybe build new habits or norms or things like that. Let's introduce the guests. Could each of you, we'll start with Rob, then Afsha, then Max. Could each of you tell us maybe just a sentence about yourself, whatever you feel like telling us about yourself today? Rob, what about you? Who are you?
I'm Rob from the Netherlands, and I try to make 1 billion people more happy and healthy by using play and games.
1 billion? Why not 7 billion? Why are you excluding the 6 billion?
You have to start modestly.
Okay, start with feasible number.
All right, nice to meet you, Rob.
Okay.
Afsha.
Hi, so I'm a city planner, urban planner. What I do is create cities, but not just create cities. I create places so that people can connect better.
Well, Well, and cities shape a lot of the way we feel about a sense of community. Yeah, exciting. And Avsha and I went to school together about 1,000 years ago, or last year. I don't know.
Don't age the dinosaur. Come on.
We're immortal. But we learned about design together, and then you went on to MIT as well, I think, and did some work there, didn't you? Yeah.
I did.
So very exciting.
Yep. And I did my master's in architecture.
Excellent. So she both knows things as well as the places that contain us and things. So very exciting. Max, what about you? Tell us who the heck you are.
Okay, I guess I started off as a designer, and I've been designing more software, and have somehow fallen into VR and neurofeedback and neuroscience. So I manage a product that can read your cognitive load and a bunch of other biosignals, and then you can sort of process stuff with that.
Oh, excellent. All right. I think we should jump into the game.
Absolutely. And we're going to first review the winner of last week. In our last episode, we tried to tackle the crisis of not sleeping well enough. So we had to redesign two things, which is toilet paper, coffee, in the era of little IoT. And we have Laura, a friend of a family member of our guest who is living alone and really suffer from low quality of sleep. So the winning ideas are, the first idea is from Bibi Sect, who thinks that, screen time, as scientifically shown, hurts deep and good quality of sleep. So he wants the phone to be connected, to be charged, not in a bedroom, because then he's more likely to check social media right before bedtime, but next to the coffee machine. Moreover, he wants the coffee to be ready the moment he gets up. So the phone can actually trigger that, hot coffee, connected to his alarm. So there's a point of charging it there instead of, in the bedroom. So that's a wonderful idea for getting the phone out of your bedroom. The second idea is crappy thoughts and thoughts that cause you anxiety would also hurt your sleep quality. So Jeff thinks if he used the toilet paper to write down all the crappy thoughts and anxious, anxiety-causing thoughts, flush them away to clear the mind, he can have more stress-free sleep. So
now, if you've never participated before, each week people are thrown curveballs because we don't know what you'll have to design. And last week it was toilet paper and coffee making. So, we never quite know where this is going to go, and that was last week. All right. So what do we want to do next?
We're going to have to find out what are the two things that we have to design for today, and you'll have 3 minutes. So we know that the crisis will be loneliness. We have tackled some other crises. So this week is really about quality of connection, lack of quality connection. And then the two things, I would love to invite Afshan and Max, pick a number, and on your mirror you can find out what's behind that number. So Afshan, what's your pick?
I am going to pick 15.
Okay, let's see what's behind 15. And Max, find out.
Oh, I'm still trying to find my Miro again. Where'd it go?
Yeah, now this is the tricky part. You find the Miro, ignore the StreamYard now, and just pull up your Miro. And if you come over to the area that says things, Max, what would yours be? And you can just go ahead and grab the number.
Oh,
so
4.
it has to be one of the numbers.
4.
Yep, and
4.
pull it off and let's see what it is.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, then.
So we're 6 then.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So
T and what was the other one?
Ceiling.
Okay, that's going to be our challenge this week. Okay. So T and ceiling. And then what else, Ting? What else do we do now?
Yeah, so Rob, would you do us the favor of picking one food here to find out what constraints in terms of tech, time, and social context we're dealing with?
You can grab a fruit and just pull that card off in Miro.
I'll go for the coconut.
Coconut.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed
Let's
to.
see.
There we go. No. Yeah, there.
There you go. Yeah.
Mickey, tell us what the some IoT means. This is in 10 years' time. That's going to be a futuristic moment.
That's right. So some IoT means that the thing could have like sensors. It could maybe talk to other things in the house. It might have the ability to do some robotic movement. If it was a couch, it might be able to, run away from you if you were trying to sit on it. 10 years in the future means it needs to be credible that this thing could exist in 10 years. So it can't be something like quantum tunneling something or other, because that might be a little further out than 10 years. So, and I don't, what's the question mark, Ting? What does that mean?
Yeah. So now we're going to actually pick one of you to solve the challenge of your loneliness. So I want you to each pick a number between 0 to 10. And then I already have a number in mind. The number you pick, the one that is closest to my number is going to be the guess of challenge today. So Rob,
6.
What's the number?
4.
Okay. Asha?
10.
Okay. Max?
6.
I picked 5. So your head's close. What do we do? Okay. Do another round. I have a number in mind now. Rob?
7.
Okay. Max?
6.
Okay, my number is 8. Okay, Rob, you're up. Okay, now tell us what's your... Max is like...
Yeah.
I was like, if you would pick 9, we're going to be stuck again. Do you live alone or with a family?
No, I actually just moved in together with my girlfriend last week. So
Okay, so the constraint is that you're going to have one other human living in at home. No kids, yeah? Any
Yep.
pets?
we have a cat.
Okay, and a cat. So that's our social contextual constraint for the designers. Okay, now we're gonna Corey, our show master, is gonna put the timer up. You only have you only have 2 minutes to come up with one idea, and that idea can be making use of both two things or either of the two things.
So right above the Post-it note. So Avsha, for yours, you can click on that Post-it note and type in the name of an idea. Right there where it's your name is on the pink Post-it, Max is on the blue, and Rob is on the green. And right above you, you can see it's going to be an idea around tea or ceiling. I don't know what that is. That could help us tackle loneliness. Or it could be some combination of tea and ceiling. And we're just going to try it out. Just go ahead and come up with an idea. So usually an idea has a name, and then it has like a sentence or two describing what your idea is for how to solve loneliness with tea or something related to tea and ceiling or ceiling. And now we're going to pull up a timer. Where's the timer?
Corey, I'm on it. Sometimes Miro still has some bug. We should invite Miro to play with us so that they can clear our bugs.
Well, everyone can start working, and then as we fuddle around with the timer. Oh, now the timer's going. Uh-oh, 1 minute and 46.
Yeah, it's a timer showing up on screen.
And if you're watching this show and you're on YouTube, you can also type into the comments on YouTube your idea, an idea you might have for solving loneliness with either tea or ceiling. Hmm. "57 seconds." 6 seconds. Ooh, time is up. Okay. Because I was bored, I also did one, which is kind of off to the side. Okay, Avsha, did you get a chance to do one, or were you ending up with technical difficulties?
You know what? I'm experiencing a technical difficulty, but I did the old-fashioned post-it because I was like really
Excellent.
super uber competitive, and I couldn't resist not,
Perfect.
participating. And I came up with 2 ideas.
All right, let's hear the first one.
Wow.
Okay,
We're going to start with you, Asha.
Okay, so my first one has to deal with purely with just ceiling. And the first idea is where the ceiling would lift and connect you to either the day or the night and to a bigger universe that's out there so that you feel connected to something beyond just yourself. So, and my second version, my second is very transcendental. And then my second version is uses 2 things, the ceiling and tea. And what it does is here in the Bay Area, we live in like ranch style homes. So the ceiling would act as a lift or with a stair, and you would be able to get out onto your ceiling and take your tea with you and connect with your neighborhood during COVID. It would be like a tea circle.
Nice. All right. So like the ceiling would flip or change into something so that you could have an outdoor, you could kind of get indoor, outdoor and have a tea circle.
Well, yeah, so that your ceiling becomes a tray and it lifts and you're outside and, you know, it inverts itself physically.
I remember seeing an advertisement from KLM that they actually drop a big dining table with food in the airport and just like by surprise, like drop down and invite like a bunch of strangers to be around that. It was like a Christmas time kind of surprise. Yeah, it was definitely I think having a very quality, like surprise moments with strangers where we feel really connected, it's something of sublime pleasure.
And well, by the way, just your point about the sublime, you know, connecting with strangers, like Avsha's idea. There was a recent study out of Harvard that showed that people are missing out on weak connections. In other words, the connection you get when you're like at the airport or when you're outside, you bump into somebody or at a bar or something. They're doing a lot of intentional connecting because of their office or their meeting or their whatever and managers. But the serendipitous connections are they're breaking quite a lot now. We're not getting the value of weak ties between different people. So this could be a nice concept to kind of connect people that might otherwise might not connect. All right, how about Rob? You want to go next?
Yeah, sure.
Beer.
To start with, exactly the lamp beer. It's 9 o'clock in the evening. You're feeling a bit lonely. Of course, I love my girlfriend, but at the moment it would also be nice to drink a beer with a friend. So this lamp beer, I can place my cup of tea. I have a prop here. I can place it under the special lamp and it will transform it into a nice drink, but also connect me to one of my peers that is lonely. It could be one of my friends or maybe someone that's a weak tie in another way. And you can have a nice chat while drinking a nice beer. So I think it would be quite enjoyable.
I think, and this is possible maybe within the next 10 years. Remember, you had a time horizon of 10 years. There are new works going on in synthetic biology to allow algae, which is kind of a natural photosynthetic manufacturing firm, to allow algae to actually manufacture things. So I wonder if you could combine algae with yeast, which is beer, and have some kind of a synthetic biology lamp beer. So it sounds reasonable for 10 years from now. Nicely done. What about Max?
I think we have it transposed here. So mine would be tea time. So you would have pre-arranged times in the day where you would go with, a variety of friends, and then you would it would connect you via Zoom, obviously, and then before that happens, slowly you have this light that kind of starts to shine up on your ceiling, sort of telling you it's going to be time to have that meeting. So throughout the day, you have to probably do this with decaf, though. I think you'd have too much tea.
Maybe different time of day, yeah.
Yeah. Corey, we actually can't see. We can.
There we go.
It's called tea time. Yeah. Awesome.
Nice. Okay, I think we should go to round 2. Well, what do we do next?
Mickey, don't you want to share yours?
Yeah. It's just an idea. Well, I called it ceiling because I just can't help myself. The ceiling is made of thousands of movable surfaces in a pixelized arrangement, and you can see friends just as shapes moving about when they enter their living room, when you're in your living room. So you could kind of just get a feeling that people you love and know are with you, even if they're in another part of the world, because their ceiling is detecting you being in the same living room. So when you're both in a shared space, you just feel them. That's all. It's just sort of it's almost like a cloudscape above you of people you love.
Right.
Oh, no, Grandma fell down.
Yeah. Uh-oh. She hasn't moved in like 6 hours. What's going on?
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
Gijs Verhoeven, possibly from Holland. Tell us, Gijs, where are you from? Which city? A QR code on your tea bag box. If you scan it, you get connected chat to someone else who had the same tea. There's something in common. Brilliant. And Gijs, we now also have your post-it included as one of the ideas for actually our second round redesign. So in our second round, we're actually going to invite you to grab one of the ideas presented now, but it cannot be your own idea. So you have to grab another person's idea. So pay attention to the ideas presented, see which one suits you the most, that you can relate to the most, and
start grabbing it and pull it away from that board. Pull it out so that you own it.
Make it your own now. So put your name next to the original creator's name to claim your idea. So which one you want to redesign. And we're gonna, while I give you a little instruction about, what happened before the second round. So we will now go into a scientific diagnosis. What does it mean? Behavioral science is all about, making sure that we identify very specifically the kind of behavior that we can do ideally, repeatedly, like a habit, that would make a difference on this outcome called loneliness. So what does it really mean to feel lonely? If it means that you don't feel connected well enough to someone, maybe it's about trying to reconnect with some of your best friends and do a regular sort of checking with them so that you feel connected at least to one or two other person than the spouse that you are living with. If it means that you feel like not connecting enough to a lot of weak ties, right? It might mean that you want to join certain maybe hobby groups, etc., where you can find more weak ties. So the first thing we want you to do is to find that behavior. That if there's like a magic button that can change your behavior to this new version that would make you feel less lonely, what would that be? So for yourself. So this time we're gonna target on Rob. So Rob, you're gonna actually help us understand you better. So when do you feel lonely? And when do you not feel lonely? And then we're going to go into that sort of behavior and also figure out like what's underlying the behavioral challenge.
Hey, Ting, real quick, I just want to stop for a second and make sure that that everyone has picked somebody else's idea to redesign. So Avsha and Max, have you had a chance to choose someone else's idea as a basis? Are you having a problem grabbing it, or are you okay?
Yeah, I can't get Guiche.
You want to take
Gijs? Okay. Yeah. Gijs, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Corey will help you. Yeah. So if you need any help, do in a private chat. Our show master Corey will help you. So Rob, thank you, Mickey. Rob, when do you feel lonely, or when do you not feel lonely?
Yeah, for me, it's really about the quality of the interaction and the quality in the interaction. So it's not so much about the quantity and the weak ties, I think, but I really need to, like the example you gave at the party, you want to have, a valuable connection. So doing something enjoyable with someone that you care about. If that happens, I don't feel lonely at all. But of course, if that has been several days or weeks, then you start to become lonely. So it's,
Right. So interestingly, the idea of having a long time can potentially help people feel less lonely. So what it means to feel connected with another person, not feel lonely, typically entails that you feel like you're being seen and understood. So even if it's a stranger or someone who really sees you and understands you, you feel a sense of belonging, right? And when you have during COVID, my biggest lessons was because I have so much time alone, I actually get to connect with myself better. I become my own best friend, and I was able to see and understand myself much better than before. And hence, when I'm connecting with another person, I was able to share authentically who I am and help them also see and understand me better. And I remember there were in 2 Zoom calls where I was in tears because I was so touched of how the other person, either as a stranger or an acquaintance, because of my vulnerable sharing, was able to sort of connect deeply. So I think the idea of physically in-person connection, is that actually necessary for us to feel close to someone? It's a secondary question. Maybe it's easier, but it doesn't mean that would be the case. And I think with online meetings, the fact that we don't go into the habits of small talk. So in those meetings, we use this no small talk cards, which means that we use questions scientifically proven to get us closer, to prompt us getting into those deeper connection conversations. And because it was a Zoom meeting, we were feeling more comfortable doing this new normal and not kind of get stuck with the old normal of doing small talk. We feel very connected. So for you, Rob, what is that behavior that you would like to see that you do more often, almost as a habit, that you think can help you feel less lonely?
That I would like to see, or that I do at the moment?
Do you like to do? Like, if you have to name a specific behavior goal.
Yeah, then I have to go with playing, of course. If you play together, you get to know each other in a different way. We've been trying it yesterday with some new colleagues, just playing a game like Among Us online.
Regular gaming.
Yeah. Well, it can be anything. It can be joking, but a game helps, of course, to break the boundaries. I think that's what also is missing over those direct Zoom calls, etc. There's no time for play or small talk because you just focus and listen to all the boring.
Hey, Rob, what is Among Us? Why did you choose that one?
Well, it's a really popular game, but it's kind of like a saboteur game. So it's a team game where one of you is the spy that is trying to sabotage.
Okay.
Ashan's is laughing. You have played that too.
Yeah, no, I don't play it, but I have family members that play it. So it's the thing right now, regardless of age group.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
We were playing it, and actually the children of some of my colleagues joined in and started. They interrupted this work meeting because they wanted to start playing as well. That's the beauty of play. That, children hack a work meeting. I don't think that happens when you have a no small talk rule.
That's brilliant.
Like
So,
right.
So Ashan and Max, you have to help me get some 2 other questions answered. So why is it difficult and what has or has not worked? Do you want to poke a little bit Rob's problem with those 2 M's, finding out why is it difficult for him? So you obviously have not done enough gaming with your friends. You would actually like to increase the frequency, right?
Well, and not just the frequency, I think just the variety, right? I mean, I think one thing that's happened that tends to accentuate our loneliness is that we feel very limited now in terms of the types of activities we can do. So I'm no longer going to music concerts or outdoor venues or, just because of the scare, right? But if there was a way to still conduct those and still have those and still be connected, I think that would help.
Great.
Yeah, just a week or 2 ago, I went to a drive-in movie down at Fort Mason, and it was totally wild because we were kind of at a movie, but we were all in our cars, and we had to tune to the right radio station to listen. But I did feel together in a weird way. I mean, I think it helped me feel also just get out of the house, because I think the loneliness comes there from it as well.
Yeah. Max, can you help us ask a question to Rob so that we can understand a little bit more about his challenge?
Yeah, I guess what I'm like under the gun here. What sort of thing do you feel is the most essential thing to connecting with someone? Beyond, is it like the thoughts? Is it the some kind of some common hobby or something like that? What do you think is like? How do you feel the most connected to someone? And then how could you sort of amplify that?
Good question. Yeah, if I have to choose right now, I would go with trust, mutual trust. If it can be as simple, if the other one is not listening to you or faking to be interested, you somehow feel it and you feel quite disconnected, even though you are having a talk. And then especially of course with people close to you, the trust is one of the most important things. And that's also hard to convey, of course, via just text messaging or that sort of stuff. Then it seems to be a barrier. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you're talking to someone on Zoom, sometimes you can tell they're like, "Oh, I'm getting out an email while I'm talking." Yeah, okay, I see it matter.
Yeah. I'm totally listening to you right now, Max. I'm not at all. I'm just looking at my doom scroll. Yeah, I think that's what happens. It's and I do wonder. I think the trust is a really important thing. And how do we do almost accelerated trust or annealing trust? Like how do we actually help bring back a relationship that we might want to cultivate? That got stale in some dimension. Interesting.
And here, I think, Rob, if we kind of want to boost up your frequency of playing games with your colleague, because you did identify that as a very helpful behavioral change, right? More of that would help you feel connected. Maybe also consider a little bit of how you play together. Like insert just like that, having fun together, but maybe like sharing some vulnerable, like play one no small talk question, like when was the last time you cried and why, in between your sort of game break, potentially get you to connect even better than just sharing that sort of fun moments. But let's assume that that's the goal. But the question is, why are you then currently not doing? Is there things getting in the way that prevent you from playing the ideal frequency in terms of game nights so what's the ideal frequency? Is it once a week? And then whether you are doing actually once a week at the moment or just less?
Well, I think it's both, again, quality and quantity. I think you can have quite some little moments of play throughout the week, even if it's just 1 or 2 minutes. That I think that would work better than once every 2 weeks play for 4 hours.
Wonderful. So a few times, like in between, very playful moments. What do you think is the barrier? Is it that you have to coordinate with your colleagues to have those playful moments? Do you feel psychological barriers to initiate those playful moments with them?
I think it's the awareness. And of course, you have to arrange it and make time. But in order to do that, you need to be aware, trigger yourself. Hey, I should initiate a playful moment.
So you forgot. Yeah, maybe you forgot.
Yeah, you're busy or you're just
busy.
Yeah.
Okay, Corey, let's bring up that diagnosis board because we want our guests to be agreeing on what's the biggest barrier before we redesign. So do you get to share screen? We want
so the guests, if you look at Miro, you'll be able to see this sort of diagnosis board if you want to move over to that area.
Yeah, so here, we'll give you 1 minute, given that we talked so much about it, to figure out there are these 4 potential barriers. Not know better, not a priority, is against social norm, lacking self-control. Either you feel it like it was difficult to do, unpleasant to do, or it's not yet a habit. Which one do you think is the most important barrier for Rob's missing out on those little moments, playful moments? So just have a 1 minute discussion among yourself.
I'm going to say going against social norms because you don't normally talk to people for, hey, do you want to play a game? as opposed to like, let's have a meeting and talk about business. That you could just go and drink, right?
It could be, but
games. There we go.
I think it depends on your age group too. I think people who are younger, maybe in college, they tend to not have that social barrier. They're less reserved. Whereas people who may be seniors may feel more compelled to do that with people that they know.
So
I think it's a habit change too. I think it's part of the social connection is the habit change. Like how do you flip that so that younger people are more reserved, and then older people are more open to making new connections. How do you flip that, right?
Well, I think there's something hidden inside of what you just said too, which is interesting, Afsha, which is the notion that maybe different age ranges have different social norms. And, you know, Rob might actually benefit from playing with somebody who's 7 years older than him or 7 years younger than him. He might benefit from that, but the social norm is such that maybe that isn't the habit.
Okay, so we're gonna force you to make a choice. Time is out. Not no better, not a priority. 1 to 5. How likely is that? Can you give a number? Just each person just shout out. How likely is that a barrier underlying this problem? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
2.
5.
Rob.
Oh, I'm allowed 1.
Yes. Okay. Again, social norm. Max, we start with you. You think it's
1.
good. 1, so it's unlikely to be a problem. Asham?
I would say it's about a 4.
Okay. Rob?
2.
Okay. Lack self-control?
1.
Okay.
Yeah, 1.
Yeah, Rob seems pretty playful.
Habit. He has never a problem with self-control, honestly. What about habit?
I'm going to say 4.
Okay. Asha?
Yeah, I would say that's a 3.
Yeah, I'll go with 3 as well.
So according to Rob, really the no better, not a priority is like 5, huge. And then most of you are kind of like with the habit, like you have a consensus of like it's relatively important and less of disagreement there. So let's bring up one tip on habit change of how to take it into account. So let's review 4 point, which we're gonna review these 3 cards there. And 4.1 says consistent and stable cue. So these are the ideas that Corey, if you can make the map go away. So in order to form a habit, we need a consistent and stable cue so that we don't need to rely on our self-control or sort of remember to do it. And we want that sort of response to be as familiar, as automatic as possible. And we give ourselves immediate and variable rewards so that we repeat it enough and it becomes a new routine in our life. Yeah, so that's with habit change. So let's take into account those insights and now redesign the 2 things to help Rob have a new habit of random playful moments with his colleagues. So you have 3 more minutes and Corey will start with the timer. And if you are joining audience and friends, please feel free to give any ideas in the comments.
So, for example, Ting, I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. I could say, oh, I think it's habit. I think I'm gonna hack it with immediate and variable rewards, and then I could go over to the idea area and pull out a Post-it note for myself and try to come up with like how to riff on one of the other person's ideas for immediate rewards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. And remember that you are grabbing another person's idea, right? So you have to redesign the idea. So your constraint is that you have to follow the original idea, but now add the element of making it more habit.
Well,
yeah, I think they
yeah.
already
It's-
did choose somebody else's idea. Yeah. One minute and 34 seconds. I don't want anyone to feel any pressure at all.
No pressure.
I mean, I already have the best idea, I can tell. Because I'm not even playing the game. I got this. No trash talking. "44 seconds.
It's quite a creative process to combine an existing idea and the scientific tips and Rob's new preference on having a game moments. So it's a sweet thing. So let's see how our guests are doing in this very big challenge. Also, audience, if you are listening in, we will be picking winning ideas also among the game contestants. Nobody is supposed to take it personally. This is just a playful moment, so don't feel bad if you're losing. But you are welcome to nominate your favorite idea after we do a sharing round here. So, Mickey, why don't you share your idea to start with?
I don't remember which one. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this was the first one that I did, and I'll just share that one. So this was, I riffed on somebody else's idea, which I can't find right now,
I think
the tea bag. So
Yeah.
the QR code on the tea bag connects you to a random someone else to play a game, and the game could be a 10-second game or a 5-minute game, but it's about building trust with a stranger. So it would be playful mechanics around trust, where the minute you're getting the tea, you know, you snap a picture of it, and it instantly matches you up with somebody to have a kind of a mini game.
Yeah,
and that way it becomes a habit.
This idea is already very scientific because it piggybacks this new habit to an existing old habit of drinking tea, and hence you don't actually need to remember. So wonderful. Okay, Rob.
Yeah, I have two. The first one, I continue it on Mickey's ceiling lamp with all the thousands of little elements. It's Pim Pam Play. It's based on the Dutch game Pim Pam Pet.
Pim Pam Play.
And basically, it gives you a random combination, a trigger. So Pim Pam Pet, you get describe a word, describe an animal with the letter P, and you get this exciting game, who's the first to come up with it. So in Pim Pam Play, it connects you to a colleague and a play ID, and then you have to perform that little playful action. So it's
Oh,
just
I like the idea of physical movement or something too. Yeah.
Yep.
There's a game out there that you play where you pull a thing and you have to do this weird contortion or dance or whatever and stuff, and it's hilarious and weird because you don't usually move that much or move in weird ways. Nice.
This is such a fantastic idea, but it doesn't incorporate any of the scientific tip. So you get 1 point off, but it's so creative that it probably offsets it. So that's fine. Afshan.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah? No, Rob, go ahead. What do you want to say?
The second one was really boring and more scientific. It's the tea bag ID. It's similar.
Oh, yeah. The scientific one is always the boring one, I'm sure.
Yeah. So it just triggers on a ritual, and it gives you a cue to trigger you at the right moment to do a small playful action.
Right.
So.
Probably more successful in forming a habit, but just boring. Okay. Okay. Afshan, are you ready to share?
Yes, and I'll just shout mine out. I think mine are more kind of like reminders, social reminders. So one of the things that I like to do is when I'm in my car, I like to listen to various things like podcasts and things. So I was thinking, why not use that as a way to help me connect as well, and help me connect with reminding me to have tea with someone. So that was one of the things. The other thing that I do a lot is I use my watch as a device, and maybe that device could become something that helps me set those social reminders as well to connect. And the third one is just much more human and simple. Having, your partner just connect with you and tell you that it's time to connect. And put some time down. So that one is the much more simple idea.
Okay, so Afshan goes beyond our tea and ceiling and to rethink other things, including human. So maybe, Mickey, we should add human as a thing next time into our list. So Max.
I think that's a good point. But I also think there's, something an Afshan thing is doing almost a social commitment with someone else to solve the problem, right? So it's like make a commitment to your partner that the two of you are going to be more playful. And when you socially commit to something ahead of time or pre-commit, that seems to help as well, doesn't it, Ting?
Yes, that's definitely very scientific. Yep. Awesome. Max.
Yeah, so what I wanted to amplify that whole idea of like the tea and the tea time, but then having the thing to get sort of the serendipitous thing in like meetings or random people that you wherever you are, your local time zone, it's the same time you have the tea time in England. So, in my case, I'm in the West Coast, so it'd be, tea time minus 8 hours or something like that. And that's when it would happen with me and the other person with the tea, or the other way around, that it's like whenever tea time, what is tea time in England? Is it 1 or 2?
4.
4 o'clock. Okay. I've not lived in England. Yeah, so at 4 o'clock West Coast time, then you would connect up with someone else, either in your time zone or another part of the time zone. So it kind of goes back and forth. Obviously, not wake someone up at 3 a.m. It's time for tea.
Yeah, I would give you a full score for the scientific application because consistent and stable cue is really helpful for habit, and tea time given for the English probably very, very consistent and stable cue right there. So wonderful. We are about time. We are way over time, in fact. But we had so much fun playing with you. Thank you, Rob, Max, and Afshan, for your creative co-creation. This is a time where we need to really examine how we can feel less lonely, get more quality connection with each other, and not just through conventional ways. We can leverage scientific thinking to help us be more effective in bringing interventions into our own life. We can also be more playful in what we can do. And just remember, we are all very creative thinkers, especially when it comes to our own life. Mickey.
Hey, Ting, I've got a question, and it might be helpful for the guests as well. How would people, you had some of those cards on Miro that had to do with scientifically proven or behavioral science applied for habit change or for norm change. How would we find out more about that? Like, where would be a good place for us to go to learn about some of these tricks that we could start to use that would actually help us? I would imagine, I don't know, Afsha or Max or Rob, do you know where you would go next to like find out more about the sort of
There's this
behavioral
website called
science?
Google.
What is Google?
Yeah.
They're a local company right here. You know.
Right. Look up habit change. But I would actually emphasize, like, we have a lot of great behavioral science materials out there on the net. But on the other hand, also, we are constrained by our own habits and norms. I think it's time for all of us to let go of some conventional wisdom, and with that curiosity to explore and to the gut, the courage to break the old normals, I think we'll discover ourselves too, how to combine those insights with our own lives and with our own wisdom about what it means, for example, for us to feel less lonely. Everybody would have a very different story to it. And we need that individual input. We need a human intelligence to co-create with our technology, with our science. Those are the tools, right? But that curiosity and the belief that we can do better in this, and it's hopeful, and not to kind of feel stuck, would be also helpful. So thank you, Mickey, for that question. I would say, yes, start Googling behavioral economics, behavioral science as keywords, and keep on coming back to our show, because we will review some insights bit by bit while having fun redesigning things.
Thanks.
So thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Afsha. Thanks, Max. Thanks, Rob.
Oh. Thank you, Mickey. What's next week's theme? Do you know?
Next week.
Do we want our audience to tell us what we want to redesign?
Yeah, I think it'd be nice if people who are watching this can type in what they want for next week. I think that would be good. What is
yeah,
the
so
theme?
let us know if you want. There's any problem?
Can they email somebody somewhere about a theme? Like,
yes, we have not just a thing. gameshow@gmail.com. Feel free to email us. Also, if you have idea that you feel excited about, submit in, because your idea might get selected and we'll illustrate.
Ting, can you put that at the bottom of the screen so everyone sees what the email is?
Absolutely.
There we go. Not just the thing. .gameshow@gmail.com. Okay, perfect.
Bye.
Excellent. Thanks,
See you next
Ting.
time.
This was fun. Bye-bye.
Bye.